Is your Samsung dryer making a whole bunch of crazy noises like this? If so, you need to watch this video so we can get that fixed. So the part here we're gonna be replacing today, this kit comes from Amazon and it has the pulley, belts, and rollers in this. So whatever the problem is when we open it up, you should have the part to fix it. If this helps you at all, please consider dropping down below, hitting that subscribe button, joining us. We create new content every Friday. We also dropped an affiliate link for the product here on Amazon. It doesn't cost you any extra, but it does help our channel out a lot. Pick this part up for $28, something like that. The dryer is a little over 3 years old, and this has already happened one time, and we paid somebody about $150 to come out and fix it. So $28, this should save you a good chunk of money. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is unplug the machine. You don't want to get shocked. That would not be good. I don't think you'd be saving any money if you got shocked, so. Kind of just pull straight up from the front, it should pop right out. And this is just on a hinge, so you might have to move your dryer out so we can lean that back. So now that that's leaned all the way back, just gonna disconnect the cable here. So these 3 screws are gonna get removed. Then we're gonna rotate around to the front and we'll remove 3 screws in the front. First the top one, and then these bottom 2. There's a couple tabs on the top here that are holding this front on, so you have to kind of push it back and then lift it up so you can pull it out. Be careful, there's another clip that you're gonna have to disconnect right behind the front here. So this should be completely disconnected now. We're kind of just gonna lean it forward and then lift it up. There's 2 slots that it, or 3 slots that it slides into right there, so just lift it up and out of there. We'll just put this to the side for now. So since we bought the whole kit, we're gonna replace all these parts today just to ensure that we get a nice tune-up of the machine while we have all this open. What we're also gonna do is come down here and clean all this lint out and make sure we can get it as clean as possible to make it as most possible like new. Now, if you open it up to this part, you can see if your tension is gonna be the issue on the belt, and our belt is very tight. Some other people, you'll see their belts are, you can pull them very loose, and that is gonna be a tension issue. Doesn't look like the case for us. I'm assuming it's the rollers, but we will open it up and see. Now we're gonna drop down here to the vent. And take the 3 screws out. Then you're gonna disconnect the sensor here. Super simple. And then you just pull this off. Remember, when you reinstall this, this goes on the outside. That way, none of the lint escapes. The next step for this is there's 4 screws securing the drum in. So we'll go ahead and take those out right now. So now this is held in just by a couple of retainers. So you're gonna lift it up and pull it out. And this is gonna be kind of holding your drum up like that. It's gonna drop a little bit, but you can let it rest. So no issue there. This is where we're gonna access our first 2 rollers in the front. Like I said, we're just gonna replace everything since we have the whole kit to refresh this dryer. So that would be able to access your fronts, but to get the backs, you have to take the whole drum out. Now, since our tensioner is tight right there, to pull the drum out, we're gonna try to slip the belt off. It shouldn't be that difficult. You just use your right hand there and your left hand on that side, and you should be able to get it out pretty easily. All right, so that is disconnected. We're just gonna go ahead and pull this drum out. You don't have to worry too much. It's all internal. You're not gonna scratch anything and mess anything up. Super easy to pull out. So we're gonna start by replacing the rollers. It's super simple. You just need a crescent wrench. Super easy. 1 turn, undo it by hand. a nut and a washer on the back. And if you kind of just hold the nut in place in the back, it gets nice and tight. Look how good that spins compared to this old one. This one was even worse. I should have showed you that one because that one was pretty bad. Those two are all set. Move this aside and then get the back done. A simple solution when you get to the back, it's kind of indented and tight back here. So what you do is tighten it by hand and then use your socket to get back there. It's kind of tight and this should make it a little bit easier so you're not climbing in here, you know, fumbling with it, not getting it tight. All right, so here's the tensioner. It's gonna sit like this when the belt's on it, but obviously when there's no tension, it just drops down. We're just gonna use the screwdriver, disconnect that spring. Sorry if it's kind of dark in here. Just make sure you line that up in the slot. There. I'm gonna use the new screw provided. Go ahead and hook that spring back up. Make sure it's nice and tight and that spring is on and it actuates correctly. That is all set. All right, so now we're gonna start with reinstalling the whole unit. We're gonna replace the belt. I mean, the other one was fine. This one obviously is brand new, which is gonna be better, and it looks a little bit more reinforced. So hopefully this should last us a long time, and let's get this back in. So just try to keep the belt aligned in the center where it's supposed to be seated. You'll see the mark on where it's supposed to go. And then you'll kind of slide the drum back into place, and it'll make sure it sits on the rollers in the back. You can just test it out by rolling like that, and you'll be able to tell that it is on there. Now, second thing, just like you disconnected the belt from the tensioner, we're gonna go back down and we're gonna reinstall that. And it kind of goes down around the tensioner and then back around the motor, and like, I don't know if that helps at all. So while you're trying to get the belt back on the tensioner, it can be kind of tight. So just pull the tensioner all the way towards the motor. And if it's still too tight to get on, what you can do is drop the drum off the rollers in the back. That way it gives you a little bit more room. It's gonna be a little bit closer to the pulley to make it a little bit easier to get on. When you have the belt on the pulley, just place the roller or the drum back on the rollers in the back. And then what I would do is just rotate your drum to ensure your belt is centered on your drum where it's supposed to be, and there's no flips or anything in the belt. That would not be good. So it should just sit there a little bit lower while we put our front plate on. All right, so we're gonna bring this front plate on. Kinda, you gotta get the rollers under there. And then stick the tabs in. And that's gonna sit there because it's seated in. Just ensure your drum rolls freely on the front rollers. You can also come here and check to ensure they're in place. It should be in place if it fit in. Now we'll just reinstall these 4 screws. So we're gonna put our dust cover or our lint vent back on. Like I said earlier, slide it under in the back and then on the outside here, and that's gonna make sure everything goes all the way in there and nothing's slipping out. Reinstall your 3 screws, and that is all set in. Now I'll come down here, plug this back in, super easy. Now we're on to the front cap. We're gonna slide it in the bottom 3 slots. It's gonna sit right on it. And then there's 2 tabs on the top over here. You just kind of push it right over it and it'll sit right into place. Before you do that, plug the stuff in. That'd be a good idea. Plug the front sensor in, then push it over. All right, and then you're gonna plug this other sensor back in here. Super simple. And we will install our 3 top screws. Make sure you don't drop them in. Open your door, and then the final 3 screws here. Remember, these are the ones with the washers on them. Throw your lint trap back in, and then make sure when you put this down, you can kind of put your cables back into the retainers on the front and side, just to keep them in place. That way they don't get caught up on the roller while it's cycling. Now all you gotta do is just plug this bad boy in, turn it on, see if it works. This project might look, daunting, but it really is quite simple. The drum is just big, and $28 versus $150, it's totally worth it. You only need a few tools, and I would definitely recommend trying to fix this yourself. Like I said earlier, if you would, please consider using the product link in the description. It's from Amazon. I will also link just the belt, just the pulley, and just the rollers, so you can buy them separately if you already know what your issue is, but you can just do the whole kit while you have it open. That way it's all good to go. What do we say, Kai?
I
See you next time.
See you